"I never meant for it to go this far." Those were the words Cristiano Ronaldo whispered to himself in the complete darkness. 15 floors above Riyadh, with nowhere to run and no cameras to capture the scene. What happened during those 15 minutes changed everything for him. And until now, only he knew the truth. But tonight, we're taking you inside that moment. Let us know in the comments what you think happened here. Where are you watching from today? The awards ceremony had just ended. The golden lights, the speeches, the handshakes. It all felt like a performance everyone was tired of playing. Outside the Grand Palace, black cars lined the street, waiting to take the biggest football stars back to their luxurious hotels. Cristiano Ronaldo walked through the marble lobby of his hotel, his perfectly tailored black tuxedo still on, the bow tie loose around his neck. He had been smiling for hours, his face exhausted from all of it. The ceremony had been civil, polite exchanges, but distant. Ever since that interview with Piers Morgan 2 months ago, the football world had been watching every interaction between him and his rival, Lionel Messi, like vultures waiting for something to happen. But nothing had occurred, not publicly. At least Cristiano pressed the button for the elevator. He was hoping for a quiet ride back to his room. The last moment of peace before dealing with the media frenzy. The golden doors opened with a soft chime. He stepped inside, relieved for a few seconds of silence. Then he heard the footsteps. "Hold the door." The voice was unmistakable. Ronaldo's finger hovered over the close button for a brief moment. He considered ignoring it, but in the end, his hand hesitated, and the doors remained open. "Come on in," he said with a sigh. Messi stepped inside the elevator. The doors clicked shut behind them. Silence. Cristiano pressed the button for the 16th floor. His tuxedo was still flawless, his hair still styled perfectly. But there was something about Messi's eyes, a tiredness that no camera had captured. The elevator began its smooth ascent, floor numbers lighting up in sequence. 3, 4, 5. Neither of them spoke. They both stood in opposite corners of the small space, staring at the digital display above the doors. The only sound was the quiet hum of the machinery, the soft rumbles of traffic far below. 6, 7, 8. Messi adjusted his cufflinks, while Ronaldo checked his phone. Both men pretending not to notice each other, both knowing that the world was watching them. Even in this silent moment, the tension between them was palpable, but neither said a word. They stood there, knowing that this was exactly what everyone had been expecting, a chance for them to finally face off alone, with nowhere to hide. The elevator kept climbing. 10, 11, 12, and then the elevator came to an abrupt stop. The lights went out. Total darkness enveloped them. The quiet hum of machinery died instantly. No lights, no soft elevator music, just the suffocating black. For 5 seconds, neither of them moved. Neither spoke. Then, Ronaldo's voice cut through the silence. "You've got to be kidding me." The emergency lights flickered on, casting a dim red glow over the space. Both of them were now visible, but only as shadows of themselves. Messi quickly reached for the emergency phone, but it didn't work. Ronaldo followed, pressing the emergency call button. No response. Security system must be down. Messi muttered, his voice soft and unsure. How long do these things usually take? Ronaldo asked, though he already knew the answer wasn't promising. Messi pulled out his phone. No signal. They were trapped 15 floors underground, with steel walls around them, and no way to communicate with the outside world. Well, Ronaldo said, leaning against the wall, this should be interesting. Messi didn't respond. He stood still, staring at the elevator doors as if he could will them open. Both of them knew that this was the moment that conversation had been building to for months. The only question was, who would break first? Time passed slowly. The emergency lights cast long shadows across their faces, making every expression seem more dramatic than it really was. Ronaldo had loosened his bow tie completely, while Messi took off his jacket and draped it over the handrail. You know, Ronaldo said, breaking the silence, I've been in worse situations. Messi glanced at him, but said nothing. Training camp in Portugal, 2003. Got locked in the equipment room for 6 hours. No windows, no phone, just me and 100 footballs. Ronaldo continued. He smiled slightly. At least this elevator has style. Still, Messi didn't respond. How was your flight to Riyadh? Ronaldo tried again, his tone casual. But Messi's answer was cold and short. Fine. Cristiano nodded, slowly realizing that he was speaking to someone who clearly wasn't interested in pretending. Things were fine. More silence. He checked his watch. 8 minutes had passed since the elevator stopped. Cristiano walked to the emergency phone again, lifted the receiver, and listened to the dead air before hanging it back up. It's not going to work. I know, Messi replied. Then why do you keep trying? Messi turned to face him directly for the first time since the elevator had stopped. Because I don't want to be here. The honesty of his words hit Cristiano like a slap. No politeness, no media training, just raw truth. Ronaldo's jaw tightened slightly. Right. Well, neither do I, but here we are. Are we going to do this? Messi asked, taking a step closer, his voice rising slightly. Pretend like we did at the ceremony, like we've been doing for 2 months. Cristiano shifted his weight against the wall, uncomfortable. I don't know what you want me to say, Lionel. I want you to say nothing. Like you should have said nothing to Piers Morgan. There it was, the elephant in the room. Finally acknowledged the 2 months of media management, the strategic photo ops, and the calculated non-answers that had been building up to this very moment. Ronaldo looked down at his shoes, his voice lowering. You think I planned that? I think you knew exactly what you were doing. Do you think I woke up that morning and decided to go after you on live television? I think you saw an opportunity to remind everyone who the king is, and you took it. The words hung between them like a heavy fog, each man locked in their own truth. Cristiano pushed himself off the wall, now standing tall. You want to know what I think, he said, his voice hardening. I think you've been waiting 2 months to have this conversation. I think you wanted to be trapped in here with me. Messi almost smiled. Almost. You think I control elevator malfunctions now? I think you control a lot more than people realize. Like what? Ronaldo asked, raising an eyebrow. Like that interview, the way you played it calm, collected, the voice of reason. You made me look like the villain in my own story. You made yourself the villain, Lionel. I just didn't let you make me the victim. I never called you a victim. You didn't have to. Ronaldo ran his hand through his hair, the perfect styling disrupted for the first time all evening. Look, maybe I could have phrased things differently. Maybe, okay, definitely. But you have to understand the context. Piers was pushing. The cameras were rolling. I was defending my legacy by attacking yours by stating facts. Messi's voice remained controlled, but there was steel underneath it. Tell me the facts. Cristiano. 5 Ballon d'Ors, 5 Champions League titles, a European Championship. Records that will stand for decades. That's not opinion. That's mathematics. And what are my facts? Messi asked, his tone slightly more challenging. Cristiano hesitated. This was dangerous territory. Your facts are impressive, obviously. Premier League records, Champions League finals, individual awards. Ronaldo stopped himself, realizing he was talking around the issue. Stop, Cristiano. Messi said quietly, you know my achievements. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, what you think my facts are, not my trophies. My facts. The air in the elevator felt thicker now. Messi's voice softened as he spoke again. Do you know where I'm from? Cristiano. Ronaldo, caught off guard, looked at him but said nothing. Do you know where I'm actually from? Messi asked again. Nagri, a village of 17,000 people. Dirt roads. No grass pitches. Kids playing football with plastic bottles because real balls cost more than most families make in a month. There was a quiet intensity in Messi's voice as he continued. Do you know what it's like to be the first person from your village to see Europe? To play for Barcelona and feel like you're representing not just yourself, but everyone who looks like you, prays like you, dreams like you? Ronaldo remained silent, listening intently. Do you know what it's like to score at Anfield and know that kids in Cairo are staying up until 3 a.m. to watch? To get hate mail because you pray before matches? To have every mistake analyzed? Not just as a football error, but as proof that someone like you doesn't belong? The emergency lights flickered again, casting eerie shadows across both of their faces. Those are my facts, Cristiano. Not the goals, not the assists, the weight of carrying an entire region's hope every time I touch the ball. Silence returned, but it was different now. Heavier. Ronaldo looked down at his hands, the words clearly impacting him. I never thought about it like that. I know. Messi's voice was quiet, but there was something softer in his tone now. But that doesn't mean I was wrong about what I said. What exactly weren't you wrong about? Ronaldo asked, his voice still tense. About the difference between us, about what drives us. Tell me. Messi took a step closer, his voice growing steadier. I've spent my entire career proving I'm the best. Every match, every season, every interview. I don't apologize for that ambition. And you think I don't have ambition? Ronaldo asked, his voice rising slightly. I think you have a different kind of ambition. Ronaldo furrowed his brow. confused. What do you mean by that? You want to be loved. I want to be remembered. The words hit like a punch. Messi's gaze was intense, but he didn't flinch. He just studied Ronaldo, searching for something deeper. That's what you really think? Messi asked quietly. That's what I see. Ronaldo was quiet for a long moment, processing those words. Then you don't see very clearly. The elevator shuddered, settling slightly but not moving. The air between them felt thick, almost suffocating. The elevator feels smaller now, Ronaldo said, his voice quieter. What do you see when you look at me? Messi stepped a little closer again, his voice cutting through the silence. I see someone who's been performing for so long he's forgotten who he actually is. That's rich. Coming from the man who turned a simple interview into a masterclass. In victim narrative, Ronaldo shot back. Messi stepped even closer, the distance between them shrinking with each word. You think telling the truth makes me a victim? I think you knew exactly what you were doing, Ronaldo replied, his voice harder now. You turned my comment into a story about discrimination, about struggle, about representation. You made it bigger than football because it is bigger than football. Ronaldo shook his head slightly. No, it's not. Football is football. Statistics are statistics. Everything else is just noise. Messi studied him carefully, his expression softening just slightly. When did you become so cold? I'm not cold. I'm realistic. Ronaldo's voice was sharper than usual. When you were 17, playing for Sporting, dreaming of making it big, was that just statistics? Just football? Ronaldo hesitated. His mind went back to that time, the hunger, the dream. That's different. How? Messi pressed, not letting him off the hook. Because I earned everything I got. No one handed me anything because of my story. No one felt sorry for me because of where I came from. And you think people felt sorry for me? Messi asked, his voice dropping into a new tone, something more raw, less guarded. I think people root for you for reasons that have nothing to do with how you play. The words hit Ronaldo hard, and for a moment, he didn't know how to respond. Your narrative, Messi repeated slowly. My narrative is that I worked harder than anyone around me, every single day, for 20 years. My narrative is that I left my family at 17 to chase a dream in a country where no one looked like me or believed in me. My narrative is that I failed at Chelsea, got laughed out of England, and came back to prove every doubter wrong. He took a breath and stepped forward, now less than 4 feet from Ronaldo. That's not a sob story, Cristiano. That's a victory story. And my story isn't. Ronaldo asked, almost quietly. Your story is incredible, Messi said, his voice firm. But your story doesn't get questioned every time you make a mistake. You think I don't get criticized? Ronaldo shot back, his frustration building. I think your mistakes are about football. Messi replied calmly. Mine are about whether I belong. The words lingered in the air. They were both feeling the weight of it. The truth they hadn't allowed themselves to fully face until now. Ronaldo uncrossed his arms, his jaw tight, but his gaze softened. That's not my fault. His words were quieter now, a little resigned. I never said it was. Messi replied, his voice calmer. Then what's your point? Ronaldo asked, his tone shifting again. Searching. My point, Messi continued, is that when you said I play to be accepted, you weren't talking about football. You were talking about something else entirely. Cristiano looked at him, his expression hardening again. Like what? Like the fact that deep down you believe some people have to work harder to deserve the same respect. The elevator fell silent. Both of them processed those words in the stillness. Ronaldo finally spoke. That's not what I meant. But Messi's gaze was unwavering. It's what you said. Ronaldo's jaw tightened. I was talking about playing, style, about mentality, about why you think I don't belong in the same conversation as you. I never said you don't belong. Messi countered. You said I'm not built the same. Ronaldo rubbed his face with both hands, trying to gather his thoughts. I meant that we approach the game differently. How? Messi asked, his tone still direct. Challenging. You're more collaborative, team-focused. I'm more individual, more dominant. Ronaldo tried to explain, but his voice faltered a little. And you think that makes you better? Messi asked, his voice steady but tinged with something else. I think that makes us different. Ronaldo's words were getting slower, more carefully considered. Different how? Messi pressed. Different in the way we approach the game. Ronaldo struggled to find the words, frustration creeping into his tone. Look, you're an incredible player. Everyone knows that. But we have different priorities. Such as? Messi asked, almost daring him to continue. Ronaldo paused, his mind running through everything they just discussed. He wasn't sure if he was ready to say what was on his mind, but the words came anyway. You care what people think. And you don't. Messi looked at him for a long moment, his face unreadable. What way do I care? You want everyone to like you, to understand you, to see you as more than just a footballer. Ronaldo's voice was quiet but intense. And you want what? I want to be the greatest of all time. Period. End of discussion. Messi nodded slowly. And you think wanting to be understood makes me weak. I think it makes you vulnerable. The words hung between them like a weight, both men absorbing the impact. Messi stared at Ronaldo for several seconds, processing it all. Then why are we having this conversation? Ronaldo was quiet for a moment. Then he answered with a half smile. Because we're trapped in an elevator, and you won't let it go. I won't let it go, Messi asked, raising an eyebrow. You've been analyzing my narrative and my priorities for the last 10 minutes, Ronaldo pointed out. Almost accusingly. Fair point, Messi said, nodding slowly. If you really didn't care what people thought, you would have forgotten about that interview months ago. I forgot plenty of interviews, Ronaldo replied. But not that one. That one was different. Why? Messi asked, his voice quieter now. Ronaldo didn't immediately answer. He turned his head, staring at the elevator doors for a moment. Finally, he spoke, his voice softer now. Because you made me look like something I'm not. Like someone who punches down. Like someone who bullies people. Messi studied him in the dim red light, trying to read his expression. And that bothered. You Ronaldo looked straight at him. Of course it bothered me. Because you care what people think. Messi raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. That's ridiculous, is it? Ronaldo said, his voice suddenly sharp again. You've been thinking about our interview for 2 months. You've been analyzing my narrative and my priorities. You've been trying to figure out why people responded to me the way they did. Because it affects the sport. Because it affects you, Messi said. Realizing the truth in Ronaldo's words, Cristiano started to argue. But the words caught in his throat. The fight left him. Just like that, maybe, he said finally. Maybe. I do care what you think. Why? Messi asked, his voice quiet. Ronaldo struggled to explain, and for a moment, he didn't know how to say it. Finally, the words slipped out. Because you remind me of something I lost, which is the ability to play for joy instead of just victory. The confession landed heavily, and for a second, there was nothing but silence. Messi looked at him, his expression softening slightly. When did you lose that? Ronaldo's voice was quieter than it had been all evening. Somewhere between Manchester and Madrid. Between the 3rd Ballon d'Or and the 4th. It stopped being about love and started being about legacy. And you think I still play for joy? Messi asked, his voice gentle. I think you play for purpose, which is different than what I play for. Ronaldo answered, his words measured. What do you play for? Messi asked. Proof. Proof of what? That I was right. That all the sacrifices were worth it. That I really am the greatest. Messi looked at him for a long time. And if you prove that, then maybe I can stop. Stop what? Ronaldo asked. Stop running from the kid, who was afraid he'd never be good enough. For the first time since the elevator had stopped. The tension between them seemed to ease. They had reached a moment of understanding, even if neither of them was willing to admit it yet. There was a long silence between them now, the hum of the emergency lighting filling the space. Messi leaned against the elevator wall, his arms crossed. Considering what Ronaldo had just said, you know, he said quietly, I never thought you were afraid of anything. Ronaldo looked at him, his gaze steady. I'm afraid of everything. I just got better at hiding it. What are you most afraid of? Messi asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Ronaldo met his eyes. His expression softer than it had been all night. That when it's all over, people will remember the goals and forget the person. Messi let the words sink in. And what do? You want them to remember about the person, that he worked harder than anyone else ever has. The simplicity of the response hit Messi hard. He nodded slowly, his mind racing. You want to know what I'm afraid of? Ronaldo didn't answer immediately, but his expression shifted to one of curiosity. What? That no matter how hard I work, there will always be people who think I don't belong in the same sentence as you. Ronaldo took in the weight of Messi's words. They stood there in silence, both understanding the depth of the other's fears, but neither of them knowing how to respond to it. Finally, Ronaldo broke the silence. For what it's worth, you belong in any sentence about greatness. His voice was sincere. Mess. Looked at him, eyes wide for a moment. You really believe that? Ronaldo nodded slowly, a small, genuine smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Even though I play to be accepted, especially because you play to be accepted, that takes a different kind of courage. Messi raised an eyebrow, still processing. What do you mean? It means you still care about being human while being exceptional. Ronaldo's voice was quiet now, almost a whisper. I gave up on that a long time ago. You could get it back. Messi's words were almost hopeful, like an invitation. Ronaldo looked at him, the smile finally breaking through fully. Maybe I do want to. For the first time since the elevator had come to a stop, they both felt something genuine between them, an understanding that had been a long time coming. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't finished, but it was real. The elevator suddenly shuddered again, this time the lights flickering back on. The hum of machinery returned, and the floor display lit up to show they were moving again. The two men stood up straight, adjusting their clothes and postures as they prepared to face the world outside. The world where they were rivals. But something had shifted between them, something that couldn't be undone by elevator doors or media scrutiny. Thank you, Messi said, stepping toward the elevator doors as they began to open. His voice sincere, for being honest. Ronaldo didn't respond immediately. He just nodded, his eyes meeting Messi's for the first time without the weight of competition. The doors opened to reveal the 15th floor of the hotel, the marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and the soft murmur of late-night conversation filled the space. This is me, Messi said, turning back to look at Ronaldo. Ronaldo didn't step forward to hit the 16th floor button. Instead, he stepped out into the hallway. Actually, he said, I think I need a drink. They both walked toward the hotel bar in silence, maintaining the appearance of casual coincidence. No one needing to know what had just unfolded between them. The bartender approached them first, clearly recognizing them, but professional enough not to show surprise. What can I get you, sir? He asked Messi. Just water, Messi replied, his voice calm, almost detached. Ronaldo ordered the same. The bar was nearly empty. A few scattered hotel guests sipping their drinks, but the two men were alone in their thoughts. They sat at opposite ends of the bar, a comfortable distance between them. But the quiet felt different now. The tension had faded, replaced by something softer, something human. The bartender returned, setting down their glasses. Quiet night, he said, trying to make small talk. Good for some, Messi replied, taking a sip of water. But both of them knew that things had changed. They sat in silence for a few minutes, each processing what had just happened, what they had just shared. Finally, Ronaldo spoke again, his voice quieter now. You know, people are going to ask what we talked about. Are you going to tell them? Messi asked. Are you? Ronaldo shot back. No. Good. Ronaldo's answer was simple, almost a relief. Some things should stay private. Messi nodded slowly. What happens now? What do you mean? Ronaldo asked, his voice low. I mean, we can't pretend that conversation didn't happen. But we also can't. Messi trailed off, unsure how to continue. Can't what? Ronaldo asked. Can't suddenly be best friends. People would see right through it. But we also can't go back to the way things were. Ronaldo finished the thought for him. Double quotes, no, we can't. The two of them sat there in the quiet, their thoughts lingering on everything that had been said, everything that had been shared. The conversation felt unfinished in a way, but there was something comforting about it now. They understood each other in a way they hadn't before. Ronaldo broke the silence again, his voice thoughtful. Maybe we just treat each other like human beings, without the cameras, without the headlines. Just respect. I can do that. Messi's response was simple, but the weight behind it said everything. The moment between them felt genuine, real, and for the first time in a long time, it wasn't about football. It was about something deeper. The comfortable silence settled between them once more. Ronaldo finished his water, then stood up, adjusting his tuxedo. I should get some sleep, he said, his voice quieter now. Early flight tomorrow. Back to Riyadh. Messi nodded, standing as well. Yeah. Liverpool training starts again next week. They both left more money on the bar than necessary, an old habit they couldn't shake. They didn't want to be seen as cheap. Not here, not in this moment. As they walked toward the elevators, Ronaldo stopped for a second, turning to Messi with a slight grin. You know, what's funny? What? Messi asked, curious. I spent so many years trying to be untouchable. Untouchable by criticism, by doubt, by human weakness. Ronaldo's voice softened. But tonight, being touchable, being real, it felt better than any trophy. Messi paused, considering that for a moment. Maybe that's what you've been looking for. Ronaldo smiled again. This time more sincerely. Maybe it is. As they reached the elevators, they paused. There were two cars available, one for each of them. They could have taken separate ones, returned to their separate worlds, their separate lives. But this time, they got into the same elevator. The doors closed behind them, and for a moment, there was nothing but silence. Different question this time, Messi said, breaking the silence. What's that? What do you want your story to be? Not your legacy, your story. Ronaldo thought about it for a long time as the floors ticked by. I want my story to be about transformation, he said finally. About a kid who was so afraid of not being enough that he became too much, and then learned how to be just enough. And what about you? Ronaldo asked. Messi's expression softened, the faintest smile on his lips. I want my story to be about opening doors so the next kid from Nagri or the next kid from Madeira doesn't have to choose between being authentic and being successful. The elevator reached their floors, and the doors slid open. This is me, Messi said as he stepped out. See you on the pitch. Ronaldo nodded at him. The doors closed behind Messi, and Ronaldo remained in the elevator, his mind spinning, but for the first time in years, he didn't feel alone in it. As the elevator ascended, he sat in quiet reflection, realizing that the conversation, the one they had just shared, was something deeper than any rivalry or competition they had ever faced. Meanwhile, on the 15th floor, Messi sat on the edge of his bed, still wearing his tuxedo. He pulled out his phone and opened the notes app. He typed, sometimes the most important conversations happen in the spaces between performances. One floor above, Ronaldo did the same. He wrote, "Strength isn't being untouchable. It's being willing to be touched by truth." Both men put their phones away at the same time. Neither knew the other was writing, but somehow they both felt like they had finally written something that mattered. The next morning, they would return to their separate worlds. Messi would fly back to Liverpool, Ronaldo to Riyadh. The media would analyze their body language from the ceremony, searching for signs of tension or reconciliation. They would find neither. What they wouldn't find, what they could never find, was the story of the 15 minutes that changed everything. The story of two men discovering that their greatest opponent wasn't each other, but the versions of themselves they thought they had to be. 3 weeks later, Liverpool played Al Nassr in a friendly in Dubai. When Messi scored, he didn't celebrate excessively. When Ronaldo scored, he looked over at Messi and nodded once. Almost imperceptibly, the cameras missed it. The commentators didn't mention it. But both men understood. After the match, they shook hands at midfield, longer than necessary, firmer than required. "Good game," Ronaldo said, his voice sincere. "You too," Messi replied. It wasn't much, but it was enough. In the post-match interviews, both were asked about each other. "Cristiano is one of the greatest players ever," Messi said. "I have nothing but respect for him. Lionel is a fantastic player and a good man," Ronaldo said. "Football is lucky to have him." It was the standard answer, professional courtesy, nothing that would make headlines. But those who knew them well noticed something different in their voices, a weight that had been lifted, a tension that had been resolved. The elevator conversation was never mentioned, never referenced, never became a story. But it became something more important than a story. It became a bridge. And sometimes the most powerful moments are the ones that nobody else gets to see. 6 months later, at another awards ceremony in London, the same elevator malfunctioned again. Hotel staff were scrambling to fix the issue, apologizing. But neither Messi nor Ronaldo seemed concerned this time. They just smiled at each other. "You know," Ronaldo said, loosening his tie, "****, I'm starting to think you really do control these elevators." "Maybe I do," Messi replied, his smile widening. "Maybe some conversations are worth having twice." This time, they didn't talk about football, about legacies, or narratives, or fears. They talked about their children, about books they'd read, about places they wanted to visit when their careers were over. They talked like friends. When the elevator started moving again, 20 minutes later, neither man wanted the conversation to end. "Same time next year," Ronaldo joked. "I'll see what I can arrange," Messi replied. And for the first time in either of their careers, they were both looking forward to being stuck. What do you think? Was this the moment that changed everything for Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi? Or just another chapter in their ongoing rivalry? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We're dying to hear your take on this unforgettable elevator conversation. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because the best stories are the ones that happen behind the headlines. You won't want to miss out on the untold moments and human truths that make football more than just a game. Remember, Real conversations happen when the cameras aren't rolling. Stay tuned for more exclusive content that goes beyond the pitch. See you in the next video.